I'm Dr. Chris MacDonald, and I have been working at Fortis Institute since 2011, and I wanted to make this video for those of you who are about to take the HESI test, just so that you can ease your nerves a little bit and get more familiar with part of our admissions process. So you might want a piece of paper and a pen handy, because I'm going to take you through the components of the test and kind of give you a little bit of a hint of the things that are on there. If you received a study packet, pieces of the study packet that are great to use as a review, and what happens actually during the testing process. So you may have just gotten out of high school and taken the SATs. You may have not been in school in 30 years. You may have never graduated high school and got your GED. So whoever is watching this, you all come from different walks of life, and that's exactly what our student body is made up of. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. So first of all, why do you have to take this test is usually the most common question that I am asked. One of my jobs, aside from being an instructor, is to actually proctor the HESI test, and I also do some of the study sessions. So I've been doing this for many years, and that's why I wanted to do this video, to give you some help. So most people usually start with, why do I even have to take this test? For our currently, when I'm recording this, though I guess if the policies change, I'm going to have to re-record this anyway. For our nursing and our dental hygiene programs, in order to get into the program, you do have to go through this admissions requirement. And it's a test, and I always hear, but I'm a terrible test taker. Yeah, I get that. I totally understand that. But through the testing process, we, through admissions and me, will be supporting you along the way. So you are not alone in this. And again, it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. Everybody has to go through this. So if you're in the dental hygiene department, the way that this works at the moment is that the higher you score on the HESI, the better it is for you, and then works into the other components of your admissions process, like your essay, your interview, and things like that. Usually for dental hygiene, we want to see your overall average on the HESI be a 70 or higher. Quite commonly, if you score below that, we do encourage you to retake the HESI, so that this way your chances are much better of getting in to the program. The reason is because we usually have a limited number of seats in our dental hygiene department, and we want to make sure that you get in. So the higher you score on the HESI, the more points you earn for all of the other admissions requirements, just to kind of put it that way, make it a little bit easier. Now for our nursing department, your requirements are a little bit different. If you are looking to get into our LPN program, you need to get a 70 in our math section and a 70 in our English section. The reason for that is because if you are able to pass the HESI with a minimum of a 70, that lets us know that you will be okay, and that you'll be able to handle the coursework that's ahead of you. And the truth of the matter is that no matter what admissions representative you are working with, as an instructor and as someone who you will have in the classroom and have as part of your support group, the truth is that we want to make sure that you get in a program that you can succeed in. The very last thing any of us at this school want to see is you struggle, you fail, you leave. So we have a lot of systems in place to make sure that you're insulated and supported as you go through your respective programs. However, we don't want anybody to start off on the wrong foot. So nursing, this is your own, for those of you who are going for nursing, this HESI test is your only component of your admissions hoops, so to speak, at this point in time. So that's why you have minimum scores and hygiene doesn't. Now, regardless of which program you get into, as of this point in time, you're going to keep seeing this face and hearing this voice over and over and over again. So, I might be the one who proctors your HESI, which means gives you your HESI test. And once you're enrolled in our school, I will be the one working with you either face-to-face, through tutoring, through help for our hybrid programs, the online stuff. You can't escape me, I'm sorry. So, let's go through the basics of the HESI. This is where you might want to jot some stuff down. So, there are 4 sections to... where's my fingers? There they are. 4 sections to the HESI. And you have to take all 4 of them. So, the math section stands all on its own. That has 55 questions in it. All but probably a handful of them are multiple choice. The other ones, and there might be like 6, 7, something like that, of them are fill in the blank, where there's just a box and you type in your answer. There is a calculator on the screen that you are able to use. The kind of sucky part is that when we have you at the computer, the number pad on the keyboard doesn't sync up with the calculator, so you actually have to hit the mouse for every single button you want to push on the calculator. So that can be a bit of a pain, but at least you get a calculator. So I always say, even if you know what 2 plus 2 is, double check it on the calculator. So that's 55 questions. Again, if you're in nursing, at the end of those 55 questions, nursing, you need to have gotten a 70, hygiene as best as you can do, because you have other admissions requirements. So that's one of the sections. Now, the English side of things, there are 3 tests that you will take, and those 3 tests, my fingers, I'm trying to match them up with my camera here, those 3 tests that you will take, they get averaged together, and that score is where the nursing students need to have a 70 or higher, and the hygiene students need to have the best score possible. So math is just 1 section. English is 3 sections averaged together. So for English, there is a reading comprehension section, vocabulary, and grammar. I can already feel people cringing as I said grammar, because that's what they always do. As far as the reading comprehension, now in each of those 3 sections, again, there are 55 questions. So for the reading comprehension section, if you've ever taken the SATs, this is like a watered down version of the SAT reading comprehension. So since the test is all on the computer, you will read several passages, maybe 5 to 7. They're not long. They're not like ones that, if you're a recent high school graduate, they're not ones that you've just tackled on state exams or anything like that. But the nice part is that the passage stays on the screen and you see 1 question at a time. And once you answer that question, the passage stays there, and then the next question comes in. So you have that same piece of reading to refer to throughout all of the questions. And there's usually about 4 to 5 questions for each passage, sometimes more. I'm just kind of guesstimating for you. The vocabulary section. Now, if you received the packet from admissions, if you flip to the vocabulary section where the words are listed, do not waste your time making flashcards of those terms, because that's really not how to study for the vocabulary section. Vocabulary is entirely multiple choice. Again, 55 questions. You catching on to a theme here? The point behind those words in the packet is I usually tell people to study by saying the words out loud and have someone listening to them. A lot of the errors that occur in the vocabulary section is because you're not pronouncing the word correctly. If you mispronounce the word, then you think the word is something different. However, if you pronounce the word correctly, you'd be like, oh yeah, I heard that word, I know what to do. So that's one suggestion. The other thing is that in that vocabulary section in that packet where all of those words are listed, I think there's like 7 pages of words. That is the reading level that the words will be at on the test. So usually I tell students, like you, go through each page. If you know what half or more of the words on that page mean, you'll be in good shape. The types of questions that you're going to ask are straight up definition, like this word means what? Or then you'll get it in reverse and you'll get the definition and you have to pick the right word. You will also get synonyms, which are what word means the same thing, and antonyms, which are what words mean the opposite. That's pretty much the vocabulary section. The grammar section, this is not the, oh, well, God, I speak English, I can take this, no problem. No, this is nitty-gritty back in, like, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, serious grammar, dependent clauses, predicate nominatives, predicate adjectives. Again, this section is 55 questions. All of them are multiple choice, and most of the questions are, which of the following sentence is grammatically correct? Which of the following sentences is not grammatically correct? And you need to know the grammar rules to be able to figure out which one's correct or not. So, for example, one of the questions on the test might have, in your A, B, C, D options, has the same 4 sentences, and they look exactly the same, and you're like, I don't get it. And it's hooking 2 independent clauses together, and you need to know to pick the one that separates the 2 independent clauses by a semicolon. There is, in the appendix, if you got the packet from admissions, there is, in the appendices, there's a grammar test, and I'm not talking about where it explains grammar and then there's like 6 questions. I'm talking about at the end, I want to say it's Appendix C. I think A is math, C is vocab, D is grammar, something like that. It's in there. But there's like 30-some, 40 questions. That's a great way to assess yourself. And the best thing pretty much to do is when you look at it and it asks you to find the direct object and it asks you to find the nouns and the prepositions, when you're like, I don't know what that means, that's kind of a good way to help yourself study, because then you can jot down the concepts that you don't know. As far as that packet goes, the math test that's in the appendices is also great to do, because that's a accurate reflection. However, don't worry about the first 4 questions in the math appendix test, because they are equations and algebra. I'm sorry, I didn't explain what's in the math section, so I'm going to reverse and pretend we didn't talk all about English. The math section, can you tell I'm doing this off the fly? The math section, the things that you do need to worry about and don't need to worry about. It usually is a big relief to people that there is no algebra on the test. And by that I mean there are no solving equations, having a big equation in front of you, and solving for y, solving for x. There's no use of exponents, which is like x to the 2nd power. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. What you need to do and worry about are fractions and every manipulation of fractions. Adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, turning fractions into decimals, decimals into fractions. and turning fractions and decimals into percentages. You then also need to know ratios. Ratios are the things with the dots, if you've ever seen them, or if you're looking at the packet. So you'll need to know how to solve ratios in their dot form, and then also there will be some word problems that are ratios written as word problems. And then finally, there are, well, not finally, but pretty much finally, there are proportions. So proportions are anything that involve a percentage. So if you, and sometimes you get these problems even in life where you're at the store and you're like, wait, what is 32% of $15.99 of this? Because the shirt's $15.99 and it's 32% off, which is such a weird number. But that would fall into a proportion. So proportions have a formula that go with them, and you use that formula to answer the proportions. There are also household measurements. So if you do have that packet from admissions, those are on page 36. And if you flip to page 36 and you find that chart there, you will begin to realize how big of a dork I am. But there are usually either 3, 7, or 8 questions on each HESI that have to do with household measurements. We kind of can't help you with those. You just have to memorize how many centimeters are in an inch and how many pints are in a gallon and things like that. But the other things that I mentioned, the fractions, the ratios, the proportions, turning fractions into ratios, that's the big heart of the test. Big heart of the test. So the only time you're going to see the letter X is when you're playing around with the ratios and proportions. Math, honestly, is usually the section that scares people, but that's okay. Like I said, we got your back. So there are things that we have in place to help support you. We have video tutorials to help you. We have online tests that you take so that you can practice at home. We have study sessions where you actually meet with an instructor, so you might be hanging out with me for a study session too. And we actually go through and help and teach you or review with you the things that you know you don't know. So that's why I kind of went through the list of everything that's in each section. So if I said something and you went, oh, no, I need to chip the rust off, I don't remember that fraction stuff, and least common denominators, and you're shuddering. So we have ways that we can help you through that. Now, the what if I fail question. So when you schedule to take your test, you will come in and we will sit you at a computer that we have set up for you. We, meaning the proctor, so myself or someone else who is giving you the exam, we are your clock. You get 4 hours to take the entire test. So when the test pulls up on the screen, even the little clock at the bottom right hand of the computer is gone. The test takes up the whole screen. So you don't have to worry about a clock ticking down and make you more anxious. We stay in the room with you to answer any questions that we're allowed to answer. We're in there to troubleshoot any problems. You will get scrap paper and a pencil, and again, you will have the calculator on the screen. You will not be able to use your cell phone during the test. I mean, of course you can bring it in, but we ask that you put it on silent or shut it off completely, so this way if it vibrates or rings, it doesn't disturb you or anybody else that you might be taking the test with. You can take the 4 sections, the reading comprehension, grammar, vocabulary, and math, in any order that you choose. However, I don't even know how many HESI tests I've given, but statistically, I notice that scores are higher when students begin with the math and reading sections and then they do the vocabulary and the grammar at the end. The reason is because the math and the reading sections are so mentally taxing. Students usually average an hour to an hour and a half for each of those sections, and then grammar and vocab usually take about 20 minutes a pop. So that lands you right underneath the 4-hour time limit. A lot of students will take one section, go take a break, run to the bathroom, just get up, walk away from the computer and stretch. That's fine. We don't pat you down and make sure you don't have cheat sheets or anything like that. Some people grab their phone and they go call someone. Fine. It just deducts from your 4 hours. And we're able to monitor your progress. So as you're taking the test, we can't see your scores, but we can monitor what section you're in and what question you're on. So this way we can kind of look at where you're at and look at the clock and come to you and let you know if you kind of need to start to hurry up or not. So that's also part of our job. So after you take the test, we print out your scores. Because I know this all started with the what if I fail, because that's a common question. So we print out your scores and we look and we see how you did in the English section and in the math section. Now, if for some reason you fail both sections, you need to keep that username that you will create, and your password. And when you take the test again for a second time, you will need to retake the entire test, all 4 sections. If you pass one of the sections, either the English or the math, your first round through, when you retake the test, you only have to retake the section that you failed. So typically what happens is people will do better and will pass English. And then when they come back to retake the test, they only retake math, but they still get the full 4 hours to retake it. So you have 2 times that you may take the test. We also offer 2 study sessions. However, if you do not show, do not call for the study sessions. If you do not show, do not call for the HESI tests. It does not make you look good. Because the thing is, I told you that I proctor tests and I do study sessions. I also have many other jobs on campus. I am one of the instructors. I happily assist admissions with this HESI process. But I'm also the hybrid coordinator on campus. So I keep changing my hats. So to do a study session for you, I don't mind at all. But I have to stay to do that and find time in my schedule for you. And I'm more than happy to do that. But I'm not so more than happy when you've stood me up and now I missed dinner with my family. So it's really important that if you're going to schedule something with us, if you can't make it, at least call. That's very nice. So you can take the test twice. You can also do 2 study sessions with one of us, and it's with an instructor. So the admissions department and your admissions representative will work with one of us instructors to get you into a classroom, and we do a 90-minute study session. You get 2 of those. If you no-call, no-show for one of them, you get 1 left, and that's it. If you no-call, no-show for both of them, you've just lost your study sessions. But you can still retake the test twice. Now, if for some reason you have failed the test twice, whether in part or in whole, there is an opportunity to take the test a 3rd time. However, usually it's at that point where you need to meet with admissions again, and sometimes the director of admissions, to make sure that that 3rd attempt is going to go well and you're going to pass, for reasons that then come after that. But basically we put you through this to make sure that you're going to be successful in the program. It has happened sometimes where someone wants so badly to be in the nursing department and they just can't get through the HESI. So they actually, we've just had a student who did this. They go through the medical program first instead, and they get English, and they get math, and they come get tutoring with me. They get a lot of background knowledge that they need. They finish that program, then they retake the HESI, they do awesome, and they hop into the nursing program. One of my nursing students right now just did that process. So this HESI test does indicate to us if you're going to do well, and we don't want to put you in a program that, again, you're going to struggle in, that you're going to falter in, that you're going to feel like a failure in, or not be able to pass your clinicals or your boards. So this is the first step of many to make sure that you're okay going through your program. This isn't something to try and trip you up or try and trick you. The questions are really straightforward, except for obviously the vocabulary section. The test usually does not use words that you wouldn't know, except for vocabulary, because that's what it's testing. But it's not written at a ridiculously smart level so that you won't even know what the question's asking. The only way you won't know what the question is asking is if you don't know the concept itself. And that's okay. So a lot of people, when they take the very first HESI test, scores can be all over the place. But we like you to take that first HESI test before you do a study session. Because after you take that first HESI and we look at your scores and we talk to you and see how it went and where you tripped up or where you had difficulty, that helps us focus your study session so much better, since we only have 90 minutes a pop to help you out. We can't reteach everything, but we, again, can definitely chip the rust off some concepts that you are having trouble with. And if you have trouble, it's all right. It's normal. You're human. So are we. And just be proud of yourself for what you're trying to do right now. You're trying to make yourself better. You're probably doing this for your family. This might be a dream that you've had, and you're finally able to fulfill it for yourself. So don't let 55 and 55 and 55 and 55 questions keep you away from that, especially when you have the support of admissions, when you have my support, and when you have our instructor's support and the director of admissions who are behind you, all to help you. So I hope this video helped you out a little bit. I'm sure I'll be seeing you soon, whether it's in the classroom or for the HESI or for both. So just breathe. It's okay if you've been out of school forever. It's okay if you've never taken a test like this. It's all right. It's normal to walk in with some anxieties of the unknown because you don't know what the test will look like. So that type of anxiety is completely normal. But I do this on a weekly basis. Admissions does this constantly. So we know what's coming, and we have things in place already to help insulate you and make sure that you're okay through this process. So I hope that this helps. If you see me on campus and I have no idea that you've watched this, please stop me and say hi. Again, I'm Dr. Chris McDonald. I'm everywhere on campus. My office is actually located right behind admissions, so please don't hesitate to stop and say hi, because I love getting to know you guys, especially after you pass the HESI, and then I will have you in a classroom. So good luck, and I'll see you soon. Bye.